So I've got the Coyote stretcher here, which is just a 2x4 that I split in half and then fold over and then cut the arch, install a piece of leather on front and back. I use the remaining piece to make the stretcher part, and it slides into the dock, just like so. And then when you finish your Coyote, you're going to just pull it over the top and then stretch it out so it's the right size and length. So you pin it down. Go ahead. So anyways, most Coyotes, when you skin them out, you got to do the case too. I put them in a in a trash bag, and then I squirt a bunch of flea and tick killer to deal with all the fleas and ticks. When I get home, I usually throw them in the freezer until I have time to process them. And then once I get a chance, I take them out, let them thaw, and then once they're thawed, I pull them out of the bag. It's important when you do this, once you skin them, you want to roll them up so that the face is out. So this is your Coyote, and you just peel it apart. This one's still a little frozen. So, anyways, there's your Coyote. And across the arms and legs on their chest when I roll it up. And you can see there's a bunch of little pieces of meat. There's some meat here. Blow out from when it got shot. Ow. And then there's little bits of fat. When you flesh this, all you got to do is get the big chunks of meat and the fat off, wherever the fat is. That's it. All this little thin layer of muscle doesn't have to come off. Alright, so this is a 12-inch draw knife for fleshing. It's not sharp, it won't cut you. You don't want to sharpen that up because that'll cut your pelts. And then I get the tanning knives, the Victorinox, the trappers and tanning or taxidermist guys use these things. They're extremely sharp, so be very careful with them. So what I'll do is I put this thing on the beam. I'll just start with this leg here, and then you just use your knife to very easily slide along the pelt. Do not cut into that pelt. And I just very easily draw the knife across, and off comes the meat. Okay? And I use the knife a lot. I use the draw knife when I get out into the open sections. But you can just get it started just like that. And you can see it just comes right off. I'm not applying any pressure with the knife, just light slices, and it comes right off. You have more control with the little knife. All the muscle on the face, all this doesn't have to come off. There's a bunch of little muscle, there's a little bit of thick piece of meat here that's got to come off, but all the real thin skin that's on there doesn't have to come off. You can use the knife here around the nose to just cut it right off, cut the cartilage right off at the nose. Just removing the layer of cartilage so that the nose isn't so thick. Makes it easier when you put it on the stretcher. Alright, so then the draw knife, put it on here, on the fleshing beam. I lean on it, and then I can just use the knife gently at first, using maybe 5-10 pounds of pressure at most, because you don't want to pop a hole, because that just makes more work. And you just use it, and you can see how it just pushes it right down. If it's not pushing it, use more pressure. If you start getting holes, use less pressure. And this will take you about 15 or 20 Coyotes to really get the hang of it, where you can tell how much pressure to use. And you just watch what you're doing, pay attention, and it actually goes pretty quick. And you just keep turning it and twisting it. And you don't want to work down here. You want the first foot is all you want to do. Just keep rotating and twisting, lean on it to hold it, and use your body weight pin it in place so it doesn't move. This is also important for one of the very important things is when you're skinning to feel the Coyote all over, checking for burrs. So if you've got burrs underneath that hide, when this draw knife gets to them, it's going to pop a hole for sure. And that's not what you want. That's just more work. Okay. Okay. So I've got it all fleshed out here. You can see it's down to just the skin, a little bit of muscle left, not a big deal, right? So I put it back on my fleshing beam to make it easier to sew up. And by putting it back on the fleshing beam, it keeps me from just sewing, or helps put it right where I need it. I have a sewing needle that's like a cross stitch type needle, a little heavier duty, and then I bend it so it's got a little bit of an arc. And I'm using just regular old wax dental floss. So anyways, what I do is I put the dental floss through. It doesn't have to go all the way even like you would with regular sewing. And then I use needle nose pliers. And then what I do is very carefully, right along the edge, I put all the fur back in there. And this is key because if you don't sew it just right, the fur won't lay flat on the other side. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to put the needle in, and I use the needle nose, and I get it just at the edge of the skin, right within about a millimeter of the edge, and get it to poke through so it's just right there on the edge of the lip, or the edge of the meat. And then I go across to the other side, same thing, using the needle nose, being careful not to stick myself with it, and then I pull it through. Just like that, pull it up tight. And you don't want it to be too tight, because you just want it to be pull the pieces back together and not bind over. As they're binding over, or if it's getting pulled too tight, it'll roll over, and you don't want that. So again, here we go. Not quite a quarter of an inch apart, more like an eighth of an inch apart. Okay, and then I put the needle through, poke it through, pull it through, pull it up just snug. Last one. So if you can see it, the needle goes in right at the edge of the meat, right at the edge of the hole, and then comes through on the other edge of the hole. I'm going to push it through with the needle nose, pull it through, and then just pull it up snug, just so it starts to disappear. That's it.